Yo, what's going on, man? Man, I just watched Paid in Full again. I watched it before years ago, but this is my review of watching it again. Oh man! First off, it started off slow. First off, Paid in Full. I don't think it went to theaters worldwide. Because it only made 3 million at the box office. So they could have just made that in New York alone. You know what I'm saying? So I don't remember it being in the theaters. If it was, it didn't stay long in the theaters at all. You know what I'm saying? But I remember when I first saw it, I wasn't too impressed by it, and now that I see it again, I'm still not too impressed by it. I think it was a little bit rushed. I think they should have took their time with it. More. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the people that they chose. Well, some of the characters I really didn't like for the people that they chose to play these characters. Like for instance, AZ. I did not like the guy. That was not AZ. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why they go get. AZ is big bone. AZ always been big bone. Why they go find the skinniest Joker to play AZ? First of all, just throwed me off with that. Annoyed me with that. What his name? Woody Harrelson played AZ. If you're gonna play, if you're gonna portray a movie based on facts, at least try to pick actors that look like the people that they depicting. You know what I'm saying? So AZ, that right there, he's the main character. It's really AZ's story. Telling his point of view, telling his story. That's what Paid in Full is about. It's AZ's telling his story. It's AZ telling his story. And it was it felt kind of rushed too. But I had a problem with character selection. I had a problem with this actor that played AZ. He seemed early in the movie. He seemed like a retard. I couldn't connect with him. He wasn't connectable. He was a tall weirdo. He was a guy. He was an actor trying to act like a weirdo. Like I didn't feel his character at all. He was an actor. I felt like he was an actor. As I'm watching this movie, I felt like, and Woody Harrelson can play. Is a better actor than that. Like he did Juice. In Juice, he was more believable. In this, he wasn't believable at all. He wasn't believable as some gullible, shy kid. That wasn't believable at all to me. It was terrible acting. He didn't capture AZ's essence. I mean, he don't look like AZ at all. It didn't capture it. He had a hard time connecting with AZ's character. I can tell just by his portrayal, and he didn't connect with the audience. He didn't connect with me at all, especially in the beginning. This him trying to act all shy, and he came off like a retard, like a big goofy retard. Tall, lanky, skinny retard. That's how he really came off like a special ed kid. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning. It was so corny, man. So, and Rich's character. Rich character looked like he was about 30. I mean, Mikael Pfeiffer did a great job, but he looked too old for this part. He looked too old to play Rich, man. He did a good job, though. He looked like he was about 30 years old playing a 18, 19, whatever. 17-year-old kid. He didn't, whatever. But I'm gonna let that. I'll give that a pass because Mikel Pfeiffer did a good job. He did what he had. I mean, he did a great job as far as what he had to work with, you know. But with which wasn't much I can see. But AZ, the main character in this movie, like I said, it's his story. I think they should have got a better director to direct this movie. Maybe like I was gonna say Spike Lee. Yeah, I think Spike Lee could have did a good job. I also think maybe the Hughes brothers or even John Singleton. I think it would have been crazy. You got John Singleton doing this movie. But I think they didn't have a big enough budget because the movie looked cheap. So I don't think the budget was too big. It looked like it was about a $1 million budget to make this movie. Look like it, or maybe in $3 million. It looked like they made no money. They got their money back. It looked like they broke even, you know. So you know, it starts off kind of slow. There's not a real good narration, you know, of it. I think he started off narrating a little bit, but then it kind of faded into the movie itself and not narration as much. But what else, man? I mean, he looks like he's too. I mean, and then Woody Harrelson, he also looks too old to be playing AZ. They picking these old guys to play these 17, 18-year-old kids. And he didn't look the part either. He looked like he was about 25 playing an 18-year-old. You know, none of these dudes looked the part at all, except Al. Now I can see Al character Cameron, and by the way, Al character was named Rico. Rich was Mitch. I think AZ was. Oh, I forgot his name. What was this A? I think they just called him A. I think. Shit, I forget. Damn, he was so forgettable. I don't even remember what they called him. I think they just called him A. But and Rich Porter's sister, Redbone. Come on, bruh. Like, what are y'all doing? Why didn't you just get a dark skinned sister? I guess they were just trying to get a name, a name. You know what I'm saying? A big name, a actress that you know, an experienced actress. But damn, it ain't no dark skinned sisters. You know what I'm saying? Could have played her because Rich Porter's sister's dark skinned. So like I said, the character selection threw me all off. And like I said, it seemed rushed a little bit. AZ came off like a retard in the beginning, and all of a sudden he runs and he gets hold of some coke. You know, Richard. You know, all of a sudden he gets hold of some coke, and now, you know, he just a big drug dealer now. They never did. You know, now he got all these connections. He a big drug dealer. It just came out of nowhere. He got these dudes with him. I mean, AZ was a loner in the movie. In the beginning, seemed like it looked. I mean, that's what they showed us. He was a loner, didn't have no social life. Then all of a sudden, he come across. Richard gets locked up. AZ gets, you know, found some coke from Lulu, you know, in his pants, because he was cleaning Lulu clothes. And now all of a sudden he got all these connect. Now he goes to Lulu. Lulu just, he tells him, "Hey, can you flip this? I mean, can you sell this? Can you get rid of it?" Now all of a sudden, AZ the man. He knows how. He got all the connections to sell the drugs. They selling. This a guy. He went from like 0 to 100. They didn't do a good job of explaining, AZ's rise, the intricate details of his rise. They didn't do a good job of that. So that was rushed. Next thing you know, AZ, this big boss. He ain't really no boss, but he's a weight mover. He's a seller. He's a big seller in the neighborhood, cause Richard is locked up, and so that created a void. Oh, Richard is locked up, and also AZ sister's boyfriend is locked up, so that created a void in the neighborhood. So AZ took over and just blew up, and and he got things on lock. Like, that just came out of nowhere. And then Richard come home. AZ looks out for him. And they didn't do a good job of showing, the drugs between AZ, Richard, and Alpo. They didn't do a good job of showing us how that connection was made, and just show us how that connection went down. Or AZ did AZ got his drugs from Rich. The AZ break Rich and Alpo off, and because AZ said that's what he did, but it wasn't explained. It wasn't shown in the movie how he broke Rich off, he broke Alpo off, and gave them, and they went and they had their own spots. They had their own drug spots. So it's a lot missing in the movie from the real story. So it did the movie injustice to me. Like I said, it's definitely a B movie. And then you got Rich, which it was kind of hard to connect with Rich too. All these characters was very hard to connect with, man. They seemed just like on the surface ass characters. We connected with Rich a little bit, but we really didn't understand any of these dudes, from where they came from, what was their motivation and drive. Well, Rich did say, his motivation. He loved this shit. He disliked the NBA to him. This is a game. This is the hustle. He loved being in this game. That was Rich. That was what Rich was saying. He loved this game. This gets him excited. What I'm saying? This is everything to him. This is what he was born to do. But that's about the most in depth we got out of Rich. And we saw some emotion from him when he beat up his uncle, because his uncle was getting high. They really didn't dive deep into the kidnapping situation of him and his little brother. Of his little brother. They touched on it on the surface, but they didn't go deep in that. I didn't see that in the movie, but I saw it on the documentary. It went kind of deep. Yeah, I think it was a documentary. It went deep. It went deep into that. But Alpo character, nothing like the Alpo character didn't do him justice either. The Alpo character was just a hothead, seemed like a lunatic, reminded me of Bishop. No sophistication at all, and didn't do Alpo any justice, because we know Alpo was a chess player, very sophisticated, not just a brute. I mean, they just portrayed Alpo like a brute, just like a fucking brute, like a dumb brute, just stumping up and down the streets. Which we know Alpo. I did my research on Alpo. He was a thinker. He moved a certain way. Maybe in the beginning he was a stick-up kid. He was kind of reckless, but later on He moved a certain way. Was a chess player. Was very intelligent and smart. And they didn't show that side of Apple at all. They just showed the reckless side of Apple. And the way he shot Rich is not how it actually went down. But the moral of the story is he shot Rich over bricks. And basically that's what it was about in the movie. He shot Rich over some bricks, but the story wasn't at all how Alpo tells the story. So Alpo needs his own movie. And hopefully it'll be a very in-depth movie. Maybe it'll be a series. It probably will have to be more than 2 hours long. So maybe they can do a BET series 5-day special or whatever. I don't know if it'll get that acclaim. I don't know if Alpo has that much clout to do that though. A lot of people still don't know who Alpo, never heard of Alpo. So I don't know if he have that much clout to get a 5-day series. He would probably need that though. I don't know, man. What else? So all in all, man, the movie left a lot to be desired. I did like how they, I did like how they showed the scene a little bit in the beginning, how it was in New York, back in the 80s. I like the scene. I like the cars driving by, the spots they was at, the hangout spot, that scene legit. They showed the rooftop, you know what I'm saying? They showed the clubs. That scene, that seemed legit. Yeah, that seemed legit because, it looked like the 90s from my perspective, but New York is always ahead of its time. So the 80s, their 80s it probably was the 90s to us. New York 80s is like down south 90s, and that's what it looked. And that's what it looked like. It looked like it reminded me of the 90s when I used to go to the club. Watching that, that's what it looked like. But what else, man? So yeah, like I said, in all, I give this movie probably a C minus. It wasn't. It didn't. It's kind of a cult classic, probably only to New York dudes. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a Friday or anything like that. It probably, probably mostly to the East Coast. It's a little cult classic, but it's not that big. It's still not that big. It's like I said, a cult classic. It's not that big, but like I said, C minus. AZ interview on Vlad is more interesting, I would say, than the movie, because AZ tells it all on Vlad, and the dude's brother, they didn't really go into detail why AZ sister's boyfriend was trying to rob him in the first place. I think AZ said on Vlad, the dude was trying to robbed him because he owed some dudes in prison. Dudes in prison was pressuring him to rob AZ. You got to do us this favor because we helped you out. We did you a favor in prison, so now you owe us. They wasn't going along with the plan AZ had for him. They wanted to get all the dough and do their own thing, and they didn't want to follow AZ's way. And that's why, and the AZ sister's boyfriend was pressured, you know what I'm saying, to go along with what those guys wanted. And yeah. But yeah, man. What else about this movie? And after that, after after Alpo killed Rich, movie was pretty much over. This is and on that part, it's speaking from, not necessarily facts, but it's speaking from AZ's perception of what Alpo was thinking. And it made I didn't like the part at the end where it made like AZ set Alpo up, which that wasn't the case. That wasn't how Alpo got caught. AZ didn't set him up. But that's how the movie made it seem like. But that wasn't it at all. Now they didn't show AZ ratting in the movie, which I don't understand. The rapper AZ have no clue of who AZ really was, because if he did, he wouldn't name himself AZ. AZ was in the drug game. AZ got shot up. AZ started snitching. Period. That's what happened. So that's a no-no in the street. So for AZ, the rapper, to name himself after that just makes him seem corny. Just makes him look corny. You know what I'm saying? So I can see why AZ rap career never took off, never went that far, because he named himself after a snitch for real. And with all due respect to the original AZ, you're considered a snitch on the street. So then you got this rapper that named himself after you, which is an idiot move. But I guess it worked for him a little bit. But I think the rapper is corny for naming himself that. It just shows the rapper wasn't in the, don't know nothing about the he don't know nothing about the streets. If you gonna name yourself out the snitch, you don't know nothing about. You really ain't no street dude. Like you portray yourself to be on raps. But yo, man, that's what they said in the movie. These rappers portraying themselves like they really from the street, and they not at all. At all. So seemed like he named himself after AZ. He heard about AZ. You know what I'm saying? Hey, he heard about AZ getting money. He was a big drug dealer. And that's it. He got the game. That's all. He heard about AZ that way. But, corny to me. AZ tried to sue him. AZ was trying to take him to court for his name too. But yeah, man, I can't wait to hear Alpo's story. See Alpo's story on the screen. That's it though. Peace.